Good evening. If you'd like to, you can go ahead and turn your Bibles to Luke chapter 10. We'll be there in just a few moments, starting in verse 30. So, say you got a family reunion coming up, and you are going to see your great Aunt Lucille. You haven't seen Aunt Lucille probably since you were about 6. And if you're my age, I'm 16. That's been about 10 years. And in the back of Aunt Lucille's mind, she sees you as this little, loud, rowdy 6-year-old running around. Well, comes the day of the reunion, show up, you're talking to Aunt Lucille, and she goes, "Well, Tristen, good grief, you've just grown up so much. In the back of my mind, I've pictured you as this little 6-year-old last couple of weeks if I've been thinking about this." I think of one guy particularly about that. That's Daniel Earwood. Daniel was about 11 when I met him, and he had this big old nasty bowl cut. And the only thing that was keeping his hair out of his eyes was his big old ugly glasses. And he had drumsticks everywhere he went. He was always drumming, tapping, beating on something, trying to make a beat. And that's just the way I picture him in the back of my mind. Like that for a couple years, and I laugh every time I think about him. We'll go ahead and read Luke chapter 10, starting in verse 30. We'll go to verse 35. Starting in verse 30. Then Jesus answered and said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down the road. When he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side as well. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he sent him on his animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, 'Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back.'" Something Josh Ross tells us that his parents told him when he was in high school and he was about to go out was, first, don't be stupid. I think a lot of us get that when we're about to go out. Second is you represent our family name, and you represent the church, and you represent Christians everywhere you go. I think that's really wise of Mr. Ben and Miss Leslie saying that. It really does mean a lot as individuals and Christians. As we go out, we represent our name, we represent Christians everywhere, the church, and we especially represent the church here at Wood Avenue as we're out in our community doing individual things. Lastly, in Romans chapter 12 is the last passage we'll read from tonight. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. "I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove that all is good and acceptable and perfect in the will of God." It's so good, this verse, and we just need to be good Christians. Really all I'm trying to get at, we represent a name, we serve a wonderful God that's done so much for us, and show that to everyone else that we know. We sing first Sunday night, Pew Packers, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine," and we really do need to just let our light shine as we go out and represent God everywhere we go, and Christians in the church, and all he's done for us. That's all I have tonight. If there's anything that you need, prayers of the congregation, or you'd like to be baptized tonight, ask that you may come now as we stand, as we sing.